Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. Let's see. Looks like my camera might be a little bit dirty. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, here's an up for you, baby. So, happy Father's Day, everybody. It is Sunday, June 15th, and it's pretty nice outside. It's very damp, though. But I have to be at a restaurant to celebrate Father's Day with my sons at 11 o'clock. It is 10:15 now, so I've got to be done about 20 to 30 minutes. No, probably 20 to 25 minutes. I have to be done. I'm already dressed. It's the restaurant I'm going to is sort of a mom and pop place. Um, it's just very casual type of environment. Perfectly reasonable to be there. Like if you're a construction worker, just to be there in your construction worker clothes. It's just a I guess some people would call it a dive restaurant. It's really nice though. We like it. They're really nice there. The food's very good. Um, Very non-corporate. But anyways, so working on this speech service has been quite interesting. And the thing that is very interesting about it to me is it really opened up sort of like how challenging it can be when you have two sort of aspects of something and they do something very very similar, but then they're coded slightly different, and and it can just really cause a lot of like confusion. And then when you get confused, you kind of just start sort of blaming everything. It's just like, um, but so but so really the most important thing at this point is to try to sort of make this stuff a little bit less confusing and a little bit more um, like reasonable. Now, I think I made probably one of the very oldest mistakes in the book, in this process discrete. Because process discrete, well, process could also be part of processing, could be like um, um, publishing and telling everybody, hey, discrete is different. It probably is more of a side effect. And and publishing is kind of a side effect. So if we go in here, like if you're like, okay, how does this ever get this information? Well, it's in process discrete. And I feel like it might be like you're like, okay, here's where we have our result handler, and um, then we process discrete, and then like update log listings. I'm not sure, but like I think this would be more readable if you read this process discrete than this publish change. And I feel like that's going to be easier to sort of make sense of in the future. And really, our main focus right now is continuous. We're supposed to be working on continuous, but now we're looking at discrete. So, like in a professional environment, you probably shouldn't mess with discrete when you're supposed to be working on continuous, because especially if you're working with other developers and stuff, somebody else might be actively working in discrete. And you might be unknowingly really screwing them over, and you had no business working in discrete anyways. But since I'm the only developer here, I'm going to work on it. And so let's just go to the definition and see. Here we go. We do the publish discrete, but it would be better if we published. It would be better if we called that there, but we really can't, because we have four different things that we need to publish, that the publish needs. So really we want this. See how this turns this into a object here? We really need that object. We need to create this object in process and return it and then publish it. And that would make, in my opinion, make all this code much more easy to debug through and to understand. Um, right? This side effect coding is it can lead to a lot of confusion. So we want this. We want a variable that is this, which isn't that hard to do, wouldn't be that hard to set up because we have all the information over here. So, we're passing it all in. So we can just do this, control copy, and we can say const, and this is discrete result, right? Discrete result is equal to, now it's weird, right, that we have a couple of things that it can't find, and the first thing is the first transcript, which, oh, okay, so here we named it discrete first transcript. So we'll just go ahead and just copy that over. And so like when you're coding and stuff, like you do a lot of like where you're just tunnel visioned into things, right? Like you can't code without going into tunnel vision in some points, and then sometimes you have to back out and all that. And so when you're in a tunnel vision mode, if I'm tunnel visioned into this very level of code right here, it's actually a lot easier to understand where you're at if the name is a little bit longer. Sometimes longer names can make things more confusing, but sometimes they can make it less confusing. And so like now we know, oh, okay, this is the discrete result. It's the discrete first transcript, right? We're like kind of setting things up. And then this is the discrete total count. And I think that helps a lot. So this is very safe. It's very, very unlikely that we will break anything with this. And it would be good if we would, it's so wild that it thinks it's a string. But it would be very helpful to actually strongly type this. So, and the easiest way to do that would be to okay, so that's the object that gets pushed on. And this is what we do, discrete result transcript. So it's actually this is what we need to pass in, is this array of transcripts. So we got this. And then we want to push this. So this must be a discrete result. And then we want to push that onto this array. Push. And I think this is kind of actually exposing there's some sort of weird awkwardness here, which is good. The more you know. Ignorance, I don't think, like one of the things I've been hearing since I was a small child was ignorance is bliss. I don't think that's true. It's like one of those things. I think there's a lot of things that we've been taught that the only reason we were ever taught them was to sort of disadvantage us, and I think that's one of them. It's just knowing what's going on and building up the sort of inner strength to deal with what's going on is pretty darn useful. But so we want to get a discrete transcript. Discrete result transcript. That's what we want to get here. Nope, wrong one. And that is an array of discrete results. And I will say that like the first few times, I do this all the time, like at work and all that. Like I refactor constantly, and the very first times that you do this, it is super awkward. But you know, just through it's like when I do Rubik's cube, there's certain muscle memories that I have developed over time that I can't teach because I don't know how to replicate it. But I don't know exactly what's happening, and the that's kind of what this is like. I've done this sort of refactor so many times that I actually don't know what all the awkward sort of mistakes that I make. I've just sort of shortcutted them all. So if you try to do this, what I'm doing right now, it very likely will be very um, awkward. Is probably the best way to put it. But if you do it enough times, then it becomes pretty like you start like there's just certain mistakes that you just make over and over and over again that then you quit making because you're like, oh yeah, this seems like the right thing to do, but it's not. All right, so now we've done a pretty good job of sort of breaking this down, this code down, so that it's a bit more like publish discrete only does one thing. It publishes just the discrete. It doesn't try to format. It doesn't try to take a bunch of data and format a discrete object to publish. It just publishes it. And then, I wonder what does this thing return? I guess it returns a writable signal that you could use. Actually, I'm very curious about this. This is one of those learning moments. Um, what does this line of return? Oh, it doesn't return anything. Oh, it returns a void. Okay. That is good to know. All right, so now we have this. So I want to return my transcript here. And I want to return, instead of a Boolean, I want to return and I do think that that is more readable, right? Like that is makes more sense. This thing processes this information, packages it up, and returns it. That's what a that's what a process discrete should do, I think. And then, but it shouldn't publish it. And then up here, when we're handling the discrete, and then we're just going to say const. And I will say that I think the number one pushback thing that I end up having to fix on PRs is they will want me to get rid of this assignment and do this instead. And I find that to be much, much more difficult to debug in the future. And generally the argument that people used to use was that it's faster to just pass this in than to assign it and pass it in. But that's just not true with Angular because Angular will optimize that um, during the transpiling process. So there is no, I don't believe that there is a optimization advantage to passing this directly in. And I think it might even be possible that it might find other optimizations if you separate these two, because it will easily figure out that this is that. But what if doing this assignment through, if you look at all the code, there may be some optimization that it can make. Um, on a 30,000 square foot scale, that it wouldn't be able 30,000 foot scale if you do this all in one place. I don't know what happens behind the scene, but I do know that it can at least figure out to pull that in there by itself. It doesn't need me. And my understanding is the browser would only do this once. It would only like, if it ran this code over and over again, only the very first time would it ever go through this and this. When it did its internal compiling, it would actually optimize that immediately. So you're talking like, you know, very minimal, very, very, very minimal hit, even if there is a hit, which there probably isn't a hit, and there might even be an advantage to do it the other way. So, so typically when I do get that, I just change it, but I will put, just so you know, there isn't an optimization. Oh, I'm happy to do this, but just so you know, there isn't an optimization, um, because it's optimized um, during the transpilation. And then often, and I literally, when I get a coding assignment, if I do come across something like this, which I do every literally every single day, um, I will immediately break it out and do this. And that's only so that I can put a debug statement in either of those spots to see what's going on. It's just so much more difficult to debug through. In my, just for me, like, when I do that way. So we are at 10:32. Um, so I think the next step is, so we managed to really clean this up because there was like a lot of like mixed up code in here. And I think discrete makes a lot more sense. And now I think we do need to test discrete. I can't imagine that it broke. Anything we would have done that would have broken it, I think would have broken the transpiler, but it's still, like, we don't want to break it now and then figure out that we broke it like a month from now. So let's go ahead and do this. Hello. Oop. Hello world, how are you? And then see, I was about to click it again to stop it. I think what I might do is, in continuous, put another button up, just so when I see that other button, I can sort of wire to my brain, oh, I see the stop. Um, because yeah, this is like difficult. Um, it is interesting. I wonder why it doesn't have a question. It should have recognized that as a question, but I don't know. But there is 8 results. And this is funny to me because it says hello world, how are you is 89, and then hello worlds, which is wrong, how are you is 96. So in this case, the first result is the best result, but it doesn't have the highest confidence. I don't know how you would communicate that. Like, you're in a stand-up, you're trying to explain, oh, I've run into this little bug where it's putting the wrong thing, even though it gave us. So then I could see them saying, okay, so instead of using confidence, use the first one. But I've seen the other way around too, where the one with the highest confidence was correct, and the first one was obviously incorrect. To me, this is obviously not. This is obviously what I said. I don't know why it got worlds. I don't know where in the world it got this. Like, this is just bizarre. These results are what I would consider to be gibberish. Um, and I don't know why they're happening, but it's weird. Um, and I guess maybe it's like, maybe they're trying to make AIs appear more human. And so they're returning kind of these sorts of results that you would think are associated. Like, you're like, oh, okay, it can't be an AI because, like, an AI would never do this. Wouldn't, but maybe they're like that. And like the confidence levels just make no sense. They don't align with anything in my brain. But anyway, so we know discrete is working still. And I do like this a lot better. I like saying process discrete and then publish discrete and get that value. So if I want to know what we're processing, it'd just be really easy to put a debug statement right there and just look at this. Um, I think it, I just feel like it's just a lot better. Guess we don't want this anymore. And I think we want to do the same pattern for continuous, which is what we're actually working on right now. It's continuous. So we want to process continuous. We want to return. So we learned from the last one, what we want to do is we want to return the continuous value, and then we want to publish it. So what we would like to say is like const continuous result transcript equals this dot process continuous. I learned through this that our what if I went through this? Nah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, that we want to get this transcript, and this should be this continuous result contract. Continuous result transcript. We want to get that back. Now I don't know why it's okay. So we've already named. We already have something. Yeah, we already have someone. That's actually a really good name though. Item. And then, so we already kind of did this, so that's good. And that is a continuous result array. So here we go. I got to keep looking at the time. Oops. Now. Continue. And that's a continuous result array. And I would love for them not to be arrays. I don't know. It would be interesting to see why it has to be an array. I'm sure. And then return. And so now everybody's happy. It's all wired up properly. So we want to take this code here. So we're saving a couple steps from last time. Hopefully that pays off for us. Okay, too low. From here to here is what we want. I'll paste that in there. So it looks like the only thing that we use is the result. So what is the result? This might actually be easier than I was expecting. Oh, result is an any. Just kind of a bummer. So we do take the whole result and we do everything in there. Now it would be nice, it would be super nice if that was strongly typed. The risk would be much lower, but it looks like this is good. And then We want to return, what do we send? We send the continuous result transcript. And now I'm starting to think, oh, did it even make sense to say publish discrete? Because I don't, it looks like maybe all we do is set that in there, and maybe it makes sense to like create a whole function to do one line of code. Doesn't make any sense, especially if you're not even reusing that function. There we go, that looks good. One more, so everybody's all lined up. So that looks like that is working, and so looks like we just want to pass in this result. And it looks like we want to just change this. And I'm going to get, I really do hope I don't forget to remove the item at the end of that. And then hit save. We'll see if it still works. Never did check to see if it worked to begin with, but probably should have. Hello world, how are you? I didn't really quite use it. I always misuse this thing. Hello world. How are you? What are you thinking? What, when, where, why? There we go. I just want to make sure that still worked. But when, but what, but when, where, why? What, when, where, what? That's right. So interesting. And see this over here, it will put like a question mark. Maybe that's why, like in discrete, I'm like, why don't I have a question mark? See, it is so easy to freaking commingle the concepts that are happening in both sides. Like why would discrete not have question marks, but continuous does have question marks? And these are things that can make coding just very, very, very confusing. And what's weird is on the other side, people like the people that you're trying to explain this stuff for, they think you're just trying to confuse them, that you're just trying to muddy the waters. Hello, how are you? Won't you tell me your name? And so that looks like that's still working. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. It's always hard. This is, for when I first started coding, was always one of the hardest things, is just take a big old block of code, commented code like that, and just delete it. Like it's like it almost feels like it's heartless. All right, so now here's the question. Let's see, what's the time? 10:43. Ooh, I've got to go. Let's see. The question I have now is, does publish discrete make any sense? Go to definition. Yeah, that doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Because literally all it's doing is executing one line of code. If there was even another line, if there was a single other line, I would probably pull it up. But since all it's doing is executing this set. All right, so now we changed both of these. I feel like that is just so much easier to understand, to break out the process code like that works. Breaking out is a good thing. Wow, freaking out. I don't think freaking out is a good thing, but breaking out is a good thing. Breaking out is a good thing. Okay, so all it got was the breaking out, and gave me 3, and freaking out wasn't one of them. That is weird. Weird. Anyways, happy Father's Day, everybody. I gotta go eat. go hang out, enjoy the fruits of my labor. Bye.